Hello, I'm Andrew Kipp, new player representative at Fantasy Alive, and your guide through these tutorials. In this tutorial, we'll be covering some of the rules behind creating your first PC, developing a simple character backstory, and how to submit all the information to get ready for your first event. First, we'll be covering some of the basic rules involved with creating your first character at Fantasy Alive. Whether you're an experienced LARPer, or it's your first time at any game, we have a few different options to choose from to help get you set up. Our most streamlined of choices is to choose one of our 4 pre-made character starting packages. These character packages serve as a good baseline for many different character builds, and include a simple assortment of skills, some starting equipment, and a little flavor text to help set the tone of the character in your head. These 4 starting packages are the Fighter, the Rogue, the Cleric, and the Mage. The Fighter has a good baseline for melee combat focus. With training in their weapon of choice as well as heavy armor, the Fighter package is well suited for those who like to be the defiant wall between friend and foe. The Rogue specializes in skirmish and ambush battle tactics. Because of their lighter armor and weapons, they'll have a more difficult time facing off against more powerful foes alone, so quick wit and cunning are both necessary. The Cleric is the holy, or occasionally unholy, protector of the faith. Blessed with spells reflecting their particular deity's beliefs, they have a limited access to magic, but with enough devotion can cast spells without end. The Mage is the magical support for any adventuring group. Despite being one of the most vulnerable of the starting packages, they have the widest selection of magic to learn, making the Mage a very flexible spellcaster. You can see each of these starting packages, as well as a list of alternative skills for each, on the Fantasy Alive website. For those players who would like a little more customization, you can choose to build your own character starting from the ground up. Because Fantasy Alive uses an open skill rule set, you purchase skills using skill points instead of choosing a class, which dictates and limits what your abilities are. Starting with 30 skill points, you can choose your skills using the rulebook to guide your choices. Of course, you must still meet all the prerequisites for the skills you choose, so be sure to pay attention to the rulebook carefully. In Fantasy Alive, skills are separated into 5 different categories: weapon skills, combat skills, academic skills, trade skills, and physical skills. Weapon skills affect how your character is able to effectively use a weapon in battle, and are a prerequisite for any combat skill. Combat skills provide bonuses to damage, and unique abilities to assist your character in battle both offensively and defensively. Academic skills dictate how your character is able to manipulate the forces of magic in the world, and provide bonuses to many trade skills. Trade skills affect how your character is able to earn a living between events, as well as providing unique benefits while adventuring. And finally, physical skills affect your character's body and spirit in a variety of ways. Be sure to refer to the digital rulebook for a complete list of skills, their effects, their costs, as well as their prerequisites. The next step for those wishing to build their character this way is to pick a player race. Please note, however, if it is your first time LARPing, you'll be required to play as a human. This is so you can delve into the game world without too much difficulty. If you've had experience with other LARPs before, while it is still recommended you play a human your first time, it's not required. We do ask, however, that you email New Player Relations to find out more about the race you wish to play as well as about Fantasy Alive's unique in-game social structures. Next, we'll move on to developing your character's backstory and personality. As a role-playing game, you'll be portraying a persona at Fantasy Alive, and you'll have a great deal of freedom in what sort of character you want to portray. This can be a daunting task to be faced with, however, as there are literally hundreds of combinations to be chosen from. We recommend starting with a couple of easy traits to remember, such as the ones you may have seen on the race lists in our last tutorial video. Or you could start by choosing a character trope to play: the tough and stoic fighter, the scheming rogue with a heart of gold, and so on. It is also strongly recommended having a character flaw, some sort of issue that can potentially hold your character back on occasion, or that they can grow from. Some easy flaws to choose from are those from the 7 deadly sins: greed, pride, envy, and so on. Of course, your flaws can be as complicated as you like, or you could have several. Remember, a flawed character makes for a more interesting roleplay experience. While you could just play as yourself your first character, as in acting or reacting to things as you normally would, generally most experienced players would advise against this. Your character is not likely to be loved by everyone, as there are some characters who are unfriendly, or even hostile to others due to their own character experiences or backstory. Not to mention, when you're playing as yourself, there's a higher likelihood you'll experience a phenomenon known as character bleed, or when the emotions of your character impact you on a very personal level. This can be a very uncomfortable and occasionally damaging experience, so to distance yourself from that, it is recommended you play a persona. When deciding on a backstory for your character, you'll generally want to consider a few basic ideas. Firstly, a simpler backstory just to get you into the game is probably best for your first time. Fantasy Alive has a huge world full of strange and interesting places. Many of them you'll only discover as you play the game. Instead of trying to concoct a detailed and complex backstory, a simpler and more generalized one to get you into the game and playing is sometimes for the best, as you can develop your backstory as you go along. Secondly, what brings your character to the town of York? Within Harrowdom, the town of York is well known for its myriad of dangers and perils, many of which would cause most sane folk to steer clear. You'll want to consider what brings your character to such a dangerous place. Is it the chance at striking it rich, acquiring fame or notoriety, to escape a dull life from your homelands? Of course, as you adventure and experience Fantasy Alive yourself, those motivations are bound to change and evolve, but having a clear goal in mind initially can be a great way to set about your own quests and making new alliances. Thirdly, how will your character respond to seeing certain things? Have they lived a very sheltered life up until now and have never seen a Minotaur before? Or were they raised to be afraid of the colorful and sometimes explosive potions that gnomes make? What about magical beasts and wild monsters such as owlbears, gnolls, and vermin of unusual size? York is also rife with demons from beyond the mortal realm and the animated dead. Would such sights surprise or terrify your character? There are many things to consider with your character's backstory, so don't worry too much about trying to figure it out all at once. Many a player has been surprised by an interesting and sometimes hilarious quirk about their own character in the midst of their roleplay. Exploring your own character's mind can be just as much fun as exploring the world around you, and you're always free to update and resubmit your character backstory as you learn new things about the world of Fantasy Alive. Finally, we'll cover how to get your first character logged for event. The character creation process has been greatly simplified to ensure a quick and convenient way of getting all your character information submitted. If you go to the Fantasy Alive website and open the link for the character creator form, you'll be brought to a page with several text boxes to fill in. Simply fill out all the applicable information on the page, and once finished, click the submit box at the bottom of the page. Before the event, you should receive an email in response with your character sheet attached to confirm your attendance. If there are any errors or changes, please respond to the email with those, and our logistics team will make the alterations. Your tags and character sheet will be printed off and awaiting your arrival and login at event. Don't forget to register for the event online and save a little time and money by prepaying for your meal plan and other accommodations. Remember, if it is your first time at Fantasy Alive, the event fee is on us. It is my hope that you have found this tutorial to be of some assistance, and of course, please refer to the digital rulebook or new player's email if you require additional information. I am Andrew Kipp, new player representative at Fantasy Alive, hoping to see you at game very soon.